Welcome home. That is the feeling you will be feeling with the new player housing system coming in midnight. And if you don't believe me, then in today's video, I will tell you everything that we know so far about the player housing system and everything that we've been able to test and all of the goodies that comes with and a lot of things that are yet not in testing and more of them to come once the expansion launches. Let's start it off with the announcement that player housing will be part of the 11.2.7 patch if you pre-order midnight. Of course, you have to pre-order midnight. What did you expect? But you will be able to actually start playing with your house way before midnight actually releases. And with that in mind, let's see exactly what you will be encountering with the housing system, at least when it comes to the inside decorations, since that's what we had access to at Gamescom and what I've been spending so many hours with. First of all, starting from the very beginning, you will be able to create rooms of different types. There are hallways, there are octagonal or hexagonal. They're big rooms, okay? There are also staircases that can create tower-like structures. There are also corners and intersections and all kinds of stuff, and you can create a lot of layouts for your own house. Now, because of this, one very important question that you might have is, does this change how the house looks on the outside? Probably not. As far as we know so far, houses haven't been announced to have any kinds of sizes in terms of their outside appeal, and since you can create so much lateral space within your house, it's very unlikely that you will be able to represent this visually outside, because that would take like a quarter of the neighborhood or something like that. It is a lot of space. Would be cool though, but that means that your plot of your own house would have to be super big. I would love for them to translate that way, but it's unlikely at this point. So the inside of your house is most likely instanced as far as we can tell, but of course we will know way more once the alpha testing will begin for the midnight, and we're gonna have videos on it as well. And all of the footage that you see right now on the screen has been done while I was streaming the whole thing on twitch.tv/Marcelian&Flame. A lot of the things coming in midnight, whether it's class testing, whether it's the new Devourer spec, whether it's player housing, whether it's the new dungeons and raids, we're gonna have all of them streamed on our twitch.tv/Marcelian&Flame. So feel free to come on by, drop a follow, stay tuned, since we will have way more juicy stuff coming for you. Now, moving past the room situation, we also can create walls and floors and ceilings themed to a specific culture. This is a prevalent option within the actual decoration menu, and the current cultures that we were able to access were folk, which kind of resembles humans. There was rugged, which are basically rocks and stones. I want to say that would be orcish. And there are Bel'ameth, and that's clearly not elfish. They want to use the Bel'ameth concept with the Yggdrasil tree being regrown to kind of signify that the entire night elfish culture switches to that zone, and that's probably the whole video on its own. And of course, Silvermoon. Most likely Troll, Tauren, Dwarven, and other cultures will be implemented later down the line, either within the release of Midnight or a few patches later, because this system has so much potential. That is alongside with the walls, you can have big open doorways with arches, or you can have little doors where you just put in a little door. And you see the little doors that I use, there's only like 2 or 3 types of doors, and they really didn't seem to have that much variety at the moment. Of course, there will be way more, because there are certain decorations that have so much variety in terms of culture, customizable potential, and so much more, that is definitely something that's going to be applied to a lot of the decorations. A couple of the decoration categories that you can be looking out for will be furniture, where you will find the obvious, the tables, the couches, the chairs, and a lot of other miscellaneous type things. You'll have storage type decorations, chests, wardrobes, bookcases. I believe they're categorized as storage units. And you also have lights, where you can actually choose which type of light do you want. Do you want a wall light to kind of illuminate your potential dungeon that your house is going to be in? Because you can definitely have a dungeon within your own home and name it Dungeon a la me, and nobody will want to enter. Or maybe it's a different kind of dungeon. Let us know in the comment section down below. What kind of dungeon do you want to make your house into? There are also chandeliers, of course, and candles on tables. And you can see there's a couple of chandelier options, but there's also just a few candle options, and you know there's going to be way more. And on top of this, we also have like a couple, just to kind of clarify that you will have a lot of variations with this goblin or gnome type illumination, where you have like little lights that you probably have seen me use on the showcase of housing on the main stage with Gamescom. And you'll have like rotating, spinning lamps and all of that. So if we have just like a couple of goblin themed cosmetics, or I guess it's gnomish as well, you know that we're going to have a lot for a lot more races and cultures. Of course, you'll have floor decorations, which are rugs, carpets, bear skins. Yes, we actually have an open petition at Blizzard to let them know that we would like a Vulpera skin rug. They seem to really not want to implement that into the game, but I'm sure they will come around eventually. You also have leaves that you can put down because maybe you want to make your house into more of a druidy, elvish type abode where you just have more rough woods and maybe some greenery and shrubbery. Speaking of, you can actually put, I don't know if this is intended, a lot of green stuff within your house, actual trees as well. I was actually on stream creating this neat little room that inspired by chat where I just put a lot of lighting and a lot of green to kind of make it seem like it's outside and you're looking at your garden from your own home. Really neat. This is just the tip of what you can do if you are creative enough to come up with some really cool stuff. One of the more important things that you might want to pay attention to are the trophies. We already know that there are trophies such as Onyxia's head that you can mount on your wall as soon as you kill Onyxia on your character, unless you already have it. Maybe it's retroactive, we'll see. On the testing ground that we have access to, we could only use like 3 types of trophies. I think it was a stag head, a little bull, WoW bull thing, I forgot what it was, and a big skeleton dragon. But of course, it's going to be way more. I would expect these to be like drops from bosses, from monsters, from rares, possibly in legacy content as well, obviously, since we have Onyxia. And this will actually get people to do outside content and use their outside PvE experience to influence their own decorations while inside. Speaking of outside, we actually could not test the outside whatsoever, but we have seen decorations that just go outside, machinery and other stuff, especially for goblins, which would look incredibly fun. Imagine being a neighborhood with everybody just having a nice little sleek elvish house. And then there's Jeff.
My name is Jeff.
Who just has goblin rockets and sprockets and lights and lamps and all over the place, just ruining for everybody the aesthetics of the neighborhood. And speaking of neighborhoods, just to get this out of the way, if you haven't been paying attention to anything related to player housing as it has been announced in the last year, we will have all of this congregated into a big neighborhood. There are different types of neighborhoods, and neighborhoods are instance zones that you can have with specific groups. For instance, you can have a guild neighborhood where everybody in the guild will have a house in their own zone, and you can see your guildie's house within the confines of your neighborhood. You can have a friends type neighborhood where you and your friends can inhabit the same enclosed space where no other people can join in, or you can have an open neighborhood to the public where anybody can join in. It would probably be a little bit more realistic since everybody's just going to be there and probably locked in with about 50 houses, I believe they announced. So there are some limitations as to how much it can scale, and I think the only limitations that are removed are probably for guild neighborhoods, since, you know, guilds can usually have a couple of hundred people. Now, I don't know if we're going to have a couple of hundred houses in one neighborhood, but it's definitely good that they are thinking of enlarging this for bigger and bigger groups of people. And all of these are accessed with 2 main control types. Again, if you haven't seen anything about player housing right now, you have the basic controls, which is probably what most people will be using. Although I would be surprised if that actually turns out, because the advanced one is definitely what you will want. But for the first basic ones, you'll have 2 main options where you can just like have everything clip to the grid and snap in the specific positions, while actually enabling the grid as well. So you don't have to think about actually matching everything properly at the right angle with the right little spin and stuff. This makes it so that you can edit a house really quickly. You can just slap things all over the place if you just want to make it homey, if you just want to make a quick house for maybe one of your alts in your warband. That's the best way to do it, and it's a very easy way to introduce people to the whole system, since you just drag and drop, you just click and click and it just gets placed. The advanced control is where the soup thickens, the sauce thickens maybe, because you can do so much more. You can actually remove the snapping mechanic, and you can also include clipping, where you can actually fit things within other things and create some more creative stuff. For instance, one example is when I first tested this, I did not know that you can change the theme of the walls to match certain cultures. So what I did, I just found pieces of rocky walls because I wanted to make my orc hovel, and I just placed them on top of the already existing walls. And to make it sure that it's a little bit more seamless, I had to like clip them inside of the walls, make them bigger to kind of cover up the texture of the walls that I did not want with the walls that I did want. So that's definitely one thing that you can do. And of course, clipping was also part of the little room that I made outside, if you see right here, where a lot of the shrubbery obviously clips into the walls, which would probably look very gnarly if the outside would match the inside, because you would see trees coming out of the walls of your house. But maybe some people just like chaos. Most likely what you will be using this for is to add a little bit of flair and personality to your rooms. And I've tested this on the show match that we had on stream against Disguise, Toast, Scara, and Snow Mixie. And I use this to, you know, kind of realign barrels and boxes and rockets on the wall, but also sprockets on the table to kind of feel like they're leaning on top of each other. It gives them a little bit more a natural feel to it. And this is just what we had access to, which feels like a very restrictive system at the moment with not all of the options enabled. There are so many things you'll be able to play with, and I suspect nobody will care at all about the Silvermoon war between the Alliance and Horde, who gets to be in Silvermoon, because everybody's going to be in their own home. That is curious if people are going to be playing the new 3rd Demon Hunter spec. And if you are, you might want to watch our interview with the devs, where we asked a lot of questions about the 3rd Demon Hunter spec, what you can expect from it, but also related to classes, tanks, healers, talents that are coming in midnight. So check it out right here, and see you in the next one. Bye-bye.